Today I'm going to share a secret method for remembering new words. It's called a mnemonic device. That capital M right there is silent. It just starts with an N. Mnemonic means to remember things. And this method is used by people who compete in memory competitions. Pretty fun stuff. So step number 1 is, what does the new word sound like? What it sounds like to you is the only thing that's important. It doesn't matter what it sounds like to me. It doesn't matter what it sounds like to your friends or your enemies. Only what it sounds like to you. Then you make a picture in your mind of the thing that it sounds like. And if it can be a solid picture rather than an abstract idea, that's a good thing. So make a picture in your mind of what it sounds like, and it doesn't have to be exact. It can be pretty far off, and still this method will work. The next thing is to know what the word means and make a picture in your mind of what it actually means. And that can be an example. We're going to use examples in this one, and the example will be enough. Your mind is an amazing thing. It will make the connections. So you make a picture in your mind of what it means, and then the third step is to make two pictures touch each other or interact with each other in a ridiculous way or some really unusual way. One of them can be huge, one of them can be tiny. Doesn't matter, and they have to interact in some way that is not a usual way in which those two things could possibly interact. Then you can review it the next day. If you remember it easily and accurately, then review it again in a month and you've got it. When you review it the next day, you kind of forgot it, then here's what you need to do. You need to make the picture clearer, either of what it sounds like, make that picture clearer, or the meaning picture, make that one clearer, or make the interaction more ridiculous. This method works for just about everybody. You should try it many times before you give up on it, because this method is amazing. So, some figures of speech. A simile. Now notice that this isn't smile. Smile would have no I in it there. It would just be S-M-I-L-E. But a simile, what does that sound like to you? Or you could even go with what that word kind of looks like. It looks like smile, so you could use a big smile for your interaction. Or a simile, let's see, similar is kind of a sound alike, but similar is not really a solid thing. So a similar thing is SIM card. If you know what a SIM card is, you could use that. Let's see, from cartoon, how about Simba? Simba. Notice that Simba doesn't have the Lee part after it, but that's okay. The Simba is close enough. Now, Simba is going to be associated with our example. She is sharp as a tack, and this as is important for the simile to be, for the definition of a simile. She is sharp as a tack. So you could see a girl that has a tack for a head. You could just see a really, really smart girl who can do, she's only 4 years old and she can do calculus and all kinds of stuff is going through her head. Any of those things will work. She is sharp as a tack. So you have this picture. Let's say that you have this girl and the top of her head is a tack. It's got this pointy thing sticking up there. And the simile is Simba, and Simba is in a really playful mood, and Simba jumps on top of the girl and accidentally goes right on top of the tack and goes right through Simba. Oh, this is a gross story, but you know what? It is a ridiculous story, and actually, the more gross too, it sticks in your brain really well. And so that's why this method is a secret. Nobody knows what's going on in your head, and you can do all kinds of things with these two images in your head. Don't ever tell anybody what you did. Oh, I just did that. Oh no. All right. So a metaphor. Now two more examples here. A metaphor sounds like what? The part of it that really is concrete to me is a 4. So you could see a number 4. That's a really concrete thing. A megaphor, like a megaphone, like those things that they talk out of like that. Maybe a mitt, like a catcher's mitt, a 4. Maybe there's a mitt that's shaped like a 4. I don't know. Again, what I come up with is not what's important. What you come up with as to what a metaphor sounds like, that's what's important. And then our example is his body is a lethal weapon. And so you get this picture. This is my picture. You've got this guy, he's a martial artist, and he can slice through walls. He can slice through steel with his bare hands. His body is a lethal weapon. So now we're going to put the two things together. Let's see. Let's do the mitt that's shaped like a 4. And this giant mitt. This is like a 600-pound mitt that's shaped like a 4. Goes and squashes this guy who's the lethal weapon, and he's fighting his way out of this big giant mitt. I don't know. Again, this is the stuff that's going on in my mind. Who knows what's going to go on in your mind when you mix these two things in a ridiculous way. But they need to touch, and it needs to be in a ridiculous way. All right? Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. What does that sound like? The one I came up with was, on my mother, there's this big giant P. Okay, there's this, big old giant P right out of the pod, and it's just sticking on her head. I don't know what you're going to come up with. On my mother, on my mother, there's this big giant P. So that's what I got for onomatopoeia. That's what it sounds like to me. And an example of onomatopoeia is pop. And most of us have seen the thing or sung the song where they're cranking the thing and you go, around a mulberry bush, the jump monkey chased the weasel, and then pop goes the weasel. You remember the thing, the little jack-in-the-box thing comes popping out or whatever? Pop goes the weasel. Anyway, maybe you don't know about those things anymore. I'm pretty old. Anyway, you've all seen something pop, right? Maybe it's a pop goes the balloon. I don't know, whatever it is. And so now we've got this big P on Mom's head, and we've got this thing, and maybe she's cranking the thing, and all of a sudden it pops up and it hits the pea and it splatters pea juice and it goes all over the room and all down her face and all onto her new dress and all over the place. Yep. Yeah. Is that ridiculous enough? Again, what comes up in my mind doesn't matter. What comes up in your mind is what matters when you touch these two things together. Now, I'm probably going to have nightmares about these things tonight because I'm not going to be able to forget what a simile is and a metaphor is and an onomatopoeia is because these things are stuck together in my mind. Anyway, that's a method for remembering new words like simile, metaphor, and onomatopoeia.